Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to a very dark and dingy Northampton. It is in the morning, it is not tea time of Monday, it is actually Tuesday the 9th of December. And we've got a great viewer's request today, and it's for Roxy Music, band that I really like. Did quite a little bit on Roxy Music, and today we're going to look at their albums, formed in 1970 by Bryan Ferry and Graham Simpson. They were joined by Andy Mackay on saxophone and oboe, Phil Manzanera on guitar, Paul Thompson on drums, and Brian Eno on synthesizer. Graham Simpson departed very early on, well, mid-72. Was placed. Then Brian Eno, of course, left. Eddie Jobson came in. So it was that core trio of Ferry, Mackay and Manzanera that took them through. They've made 8 albums, and they're all very good. There is not a really bad Roxy Music album. I like all 8. But of course I've got them in my order. Now people say, oh, you've put that in the wrong order. It doesn't matter where you put them, really, in my books. If you like Roxy Music, you like them. We all have our favourites, and we all have ones that we're not as keen on. But this is just subjective, isn't it? So at number 8 we have the 6th album from 1979, Manifesto. So the band at the time was Bryan Ferry, Andy Mackay, Phil Manzanera, Paul Thompson, with additional personnel, Alan Spencer on bass, Gary Tibbs of Andamant fame plays bass on here. Keyboards are done by the one and only Mr. Paul Carrick. Richard T on piano, Steve Arone on drums as well. Rick Marotta does a bit of drumming, Melissa Manchester backing vocals, and the one and only Mr. Luther Vandross. So the first track on this is Manifesto, my favourite track on this album. I think the backing vocals are just wonderful. Now the bass line, I'm not quite sure which of them bass players play it, but it's really, really good. Then we have Trash. There's a lot of that new wave going around at the time. I didn't think this track actually suited. It's one of the tracks that I'm not a big fan of. But the next one I am, Angel Eyes. And it's got that classic sound, and it's Andy's saxophone playing on it that's absolutely dynamite. Still Rain Falls, a great bass line, solid guitar work from Phil. Really look stronger through the years. Another great track, the bass line, and a fabulous guitar solo on it. Then we get Ain't That So. I love this. In the middle you've just got that the just fades in, fades out. Great vocals from Brian. Super track. My Little Girl, never been a favourite of mine, but it has got a really good bass line. Then we have the brilliant Dance Away. Just a brilliant track. Cry, Cry, Cry. A little bit ornery, a little bit not so special. Spin Me Around. It's not a bad track to end the album with. Now this album has got some great tracks on it. And there's a couple I'm not too sure on. But I think this is why this is the bottom one, because there's a couple on here that have never been my favourites. But on the whole, it's still a great album. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, coming in at number 7, the 7th album from 1980, Flesh and Blood. We've got Bryan Ferry on here, Phil Manzanera, Paul Carrick is a piano, Neil Hubbard guitars, Andy Newmark on drums, Alan Schwarzberg does some drums, Simon Phillips does some percussion. We've got bass spread out, one track done by Gary Tibbs, Neil Jason does 3, and Alan Spencer does the rest. So the first track is In the Midnight Hour, written by Wilson Pickett and the late Steve Cropper, who died last week. And I do like their version of it. Brian sings this brilliantly. So great. The bass line on here is Gary Tibbs. Pretty good. Then we got Oh Yeah, really nice song. What a vocal from Brian. Then we have a great track. I love this one. Same Old Scene. Very 1980s. But I love the keyboards on this. It's absolutely brilliant. Flesh and Blood. Again, this is not one of them tracks that I am not a big fan of. It's a little bit ordinary. But I still like listening to it. Funny that is. It's not one of my favourites though. My Only Love. Really never... This band were never frightened of doing something a bit different. And this is it. I love the drumming on this. It's a really great track. My favourite from this album is Over You. What a vocal from Brian. Mr. Smooth himself. Great track. 8 Miles High. Yeah, it's not a bad version of it. Rain, Rain, Rain. I do like this, but if it was any longer, it'd drive you up the wall because Rain, Rain, Rain does get repeated. No Stranger Light. One of the interesting tracks on here. I just love everything about it, though. I like the little quirky keyboard bits. It's a great vocal. Running Wild. Fantastic vocal from Brian to end the album. Great track. Yeah, another one of the albums that's got a couple of mixed sort of bag here. We got some that are not so good, but I still like playing this album, believe it or not. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, coming in at number 6, we've got the 5th album, Siren, from 1975. This is Brian, Andy McKay, Phil Manzera, Paul Thompson, Eddie Jobson, and bass player on here is the one and only Mr. John Gustafson. Well, it opens up with one of the best tracks ever, Love Is a Drug. That bass from John is brilliant. The saxophone from Andy and that wonderful vocal from Mr. Ferry. Then we have End of the Line. Eddie's violin is brilliant on this. It really gives it some sentimental on in there. Talking of sentimental, we've got Sentimental Fooled. Isn't Too Bad. Very pleasant song. What a wonderful vocal from Brian. Whirlwind. I really like this track. The guitar work from Phil is fantastic. And another super vocal from Brian. She Sells. Great track. Brilliant bass line from John. And then you've got Brian's wonderful vocals. It Could Happen to Me. It's okay. It's a little bit disjointed in places, but it's still got some nice features on that track. Burning, both ends burning. Got some really nice guitar work from Phil on this. Nightingale, one of my favourite tracks on here. It's got a lovely saxophone piece from Andy, and then you got Eddie's lovely electric piano. It's a really good track. Just Another High. Last track on the album, second favourite on here. It's just classic sounding Roxy music. It's brilliant. Now, what can you say about this? This is a great album. Okay, people say, well, you've put it at number 6. But this is a tough one because they make good albums. But I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, at number 5, the third album, Stranded, from 1973. This is the first album with Eddie Jobson. So it's Brian Ferry, Andy McKay, Phil Manzera, Paul Thompson, Eddie Jobson. John Gustafson does the bass guitar, except on Street Lives, and the string bass is by Chris Lawrence. And it's got the London Welsh Male Viol Quarter on Psalm. So the first track is the classic Street Life. I love this. One of my favourite tracks ever by Roxy Music. Don't have to say too much about that because it's just a classic track. Just Like You. Some great guitar work from Phil on this. I love this track. It's just that his guitar work is wonderful. Amazonia. Even with Brian Eno gone, they're still making these wonderful different sort of sounds. This is a brilliant track. It's got a killer guitar solo on it as well. Then we have Psalm. This is the one with the Welsh choir on it. It's okay. It's a little bit disjointed in places, but it's still quite clever. Then we have Serenade, which is my second favourite track from this album. I love the drums from Paul on this. Absolutely brilliant. A Song for Europe. A really good song. I love it where Brian starts singing French in the middle of it. And the bass line is pretty solid as well. Then we have Mother of Pearl. Love the guitar work on this. Fine vocal from Brian. Says Sunset. This is a fantastic track. You got the string bass on here. You've got Eddie Jobson's piano work. What a track to end this album. Another fantastic album. Not a bad track on here. Full of absolute belter tracks as well. So I'll give that one an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, coming in at number 4 then, we have their debut album from 1972, simply called Roxy Music. So it's Brian Ferry, Brian Eno, Andy McKay, Phil Manzera and Paul Thompson. So track 1 is Remake, Remodel. I love this as an opening track. I love the saxophone on this. It's a brilliant vocal from Brian. It sounds so good. It's an absolutely belter of an opening track. Up next is Ladytron. It's just one of them tracks where they were starting to push boundaries. It's glammy, it's pop. It's got some absolutely great drumming from Paul Thompson on it. And the Brian Eno's keyboard work is brilliant. And it's got a great solo on it as well. Up next is If There Is Something. Certainly different to the previous track, different arrangement altogether. The sound on this is wonderful. It's experimental. It's a great vocal from Brian. Up next is 2HB. This is a sort of, I love the strings on this. It's a little bit glammy. It's a bit progressive. It's a really good sound again. It's a super track. I really like that. Then we get the Bob medley in brackets. It's a nice arrangement. It's got some weird vocals on it, but it's got some lovely piano work from Brian. Chance Meeting. Now this sort of reminds me of that early sort of ELO sound with the cellos and their progressive proggy sound. This is just like it. Some fabulous work here from Brian Eno. Would You Believe? Really good rock track. This is Phil's Manzera's guitars are brilliant, and then you get a fantastic saxo from Andy. Sea Breezes. Now this is a long track. It's 7 minutes, and it sort of meanders a little bit towards the middle. Take that out, I think would have been a better track, but I still like the track. Bitter's End is the last track. It's weird. It's wonderful. And it sort of says, what direction are we going? Are we going prog or are we going glam rock? It's still a really good track. Now, I think this album as a debut, I think they were sort of still finding their feet, but it has got some absolutely belter tracks on it. It doesn't matter. I don't think matter what direction they would have taken next, it would have been good. So I think this is a brilliant album. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.7. Okay, coming in at number 3 is the 4th album from 1974, Country Life. Got Brian, Andy, Phil, Paul and Eddie Jobson, and John Gustafson is the bass player. The first track on here is The Thrill of It All. Brilliant track. I love listening to this under the headphones because the keyboard work from Eddie Jobson is incredible. The guitar work from Phil is brilliant as well. And then we have 3 and 9, Quirky Number. What a bass line from John. I love the harmonica on this, really adds to it. Then we got my favourite track on here, All I Want Is You. It's a really good rocker, some great guitar stuff here from Phil. Out of the Blue. Great bass line from John. It's probably the least favourite on here for me, but I think the bass line is fantastic. If It Takes All Night, this is very glam, very Wizard style. Throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink, and it's got a great saxophone solo from Mr. McKay. Bittersweet, really good track. This is a very deep track. I love the piano work on this, brilliant. Then we have Trippage, which is a very strange track. It's got a very Renaissance medieval sort of feel to it, but the vocal from Brian Ferry is absolutely brilliant. Then we've got Casanova, another of my favourite tracks on this album. Great vocals, great work from Phil on guitars. A really good time. One of the most diverse tracks on the album. It's weird, it's wonderful, and it's got such a fantastic vocal from Mr. Ferry. And the last track is Prairie Rose. I love the slide guitar on it. It really adds to the atmosphere. I love them sort of tracks, and that's why I think it makes a great track to close the album. Brilliant album. Very diverse. Pushing the boundaries yet again. So I should give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Now, the top two was so hard. There's not much between them. A rizzle of paper. That's it. So at number 2 is the 8th and final album released in 1982, Avalon. The band at the time, Brian Ferry, Phil Manzanera, Andy McKay. Neil Hubbard's doing some guitars. Alan Spencer, and Neil Jason do the bass. We've got Paul Carrick doing piano, drums, Andy Newark and Rick Rotter, Jimmy Mallon on percussion, Fonzie Thornton, Yannick Etienne on backing vocals, Lots and Kermit Moore on cello. This opens up with the brilliant More Than This classic. I love this. Brian's soothing vocals. Brilliant. Then we have the space between. It's quite funky, and I really like it. It's just the bass on this is brilliant. Then we get my favourite track on here. It's one of my favourite tracks by Roxy Music, the beautiful Avalon. It's so mystique, and that soul soothing voice of Brian Ferry. It's just absolutely dynamite. India. Now this is a very short instrumental, but what a great bass line on it. While My Heart Is Still Beating is the next track. Some fantastic saxophone work from Andy McKay. Then we have The Main Thing. One of my favourite tracks off this album. It's got that 1980s feel to it, but it's got the classic Roxy Music sound on it. Wonderful. Take a Chance With Me is so atmospheric. The guitar work from Phil is superb. I do like that. Then we have Turn On You. It's a very good, gentle track. And then we got True to Life. I've never really liked this track, unfortunately. And then we got Tara, which is wonderful. I love the instrumental on this. The saxophone is wonderful. What an album to call it quits on. Brilliant album. And I've just, of course, heard a little bits of the Japanese import that Simon brought in October, and it is fantastic. Them first opening tracks were brilliant, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. But my number one album is their second album from 1973, For Your Pleasure. Brian Ferry, Brian Eno, Andy McKay, Phil Manzanera, Paul Thompson, and guest artiste on the bass, Mr. John Porter. Opens up with one of my favourites, Do the Strand. I love the piano work from on here. It's absolutely brilliant, and Brian's vocal is outstanding. Beauty Queen, brilliant. Paul Thompson's drumming is absolutely killer. Some great little bits of Phil's guitar and a brilliant vocal from Brian Ferry. Strictly Confidential. The vocal delivery from Brian is wonderful, and Brian Eno's keyboard work is just and the production on this is fabulous. Brian Eno at his best. Additions are new. One of my favourites on here. I love that little bit of saxophone from Andy. It's just top draw. Then we got In Every Dream a Home of Heartache. Weird track, groundbreaking. The weirder the better. Brian Eno really pushing boundaries with that. The Bogus Man. Now this is the longest track on here, but it's brilliant. It's sort of split into different acts. The saxophone from Andy just keeps the tune. It just, I don't know, it's oddments that have been put together so well by Brian Eno. It really works. Grey Lagoon's a weird and wonderful track. That bass line from John Porter is top draw. Phil's drumming is so good on this. Very underrated drummer is Phil Thompson. And the other Phil's guitar work. And the last track, For Your Pleasure, experimental. Phil's drumming is brilliant. It's got that glammy sort of feel with little overtones of prog that was going around in 73, and I think this is absolutely brilliant. Okay, I love this album because it really pushed the boundaries of music. It's very experimental. They pushed the boundaries in glam with a little bit of avant-garde in there. It's absolute classics on here. I just love this, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. As I said, this was a very hard one to do because these are all great albums. You know, it took me a little while. I mean, the top two, there's not much between them. Anyway, I've really enjoyed doing that one. Has it got lighter? Just a little bit. Okay, coming up next, this is very self-indulgent today in retro ranking. I'm going to look at my favourite songs, some former Marillion frontman Fish, because he made some absolutely cracking songs when he went solo. So join me for that. Bye for now.